Ooh, Star Wars.
Cover Sector 12. That's Phantom for 16 Alpha.
Your tauntaun will freeze before you reach the first marker. Then I'll see you in hell.
See you in hell. Just like our first player card. I'll see you in hell. Hi guys, welcome. I'm Cambro, and this is my channel where we'll be talking about the new Arkham Horror Pack, the Phantom of Truth. So this is the third Mythos Pack on the Path to Carcosa cycle. It just released today, so I have just picked it up actually. Can you see it? Yeah, you probably can. There hadn't been any spoiler scans what I could find online, so I've actually photographed every player card. So we'll be using my photos today when we talk about them. Yeah, there'll be a first, not really first look. There was like some scans, not really scans, more like 2 pictures of all the cards that were released 2-3 days ago. So I've looked at the cards and thought about a bit about them. But yeah, we won't talk much more about the story now, or we won't talk anything about the story. We'll just jump right into the player cards. So the first card we got, it's a Guardian card called I'll See You in Hell. It's an event, has cost 0, 2 fight pips, spirit rated, and it reads, each non-elite enemy engaged with you is defeated. You are defeated and suffer 1 physical trauma. This action does not provoke attack of opportunity. He flicken open the lighter and make his peace. Okay, so I could probably make this a little bit bigger. There we go. So this is a really cool card. It's like a suicide bottom. You when you're about to die, you play this and take everyone down with you. So how good is it? That's a really hard question. There had been times when I are engaged and I probably will die. It's not too usual. It is against multiple non-elite enemies. But it's such a cool card. You are defeated, and you suffer 1 physical trauma. But for Guardians, that's probably better than suffering mental trauma. So if you're about to die due to horror, it's probably better in Roland and Mark and Zoe as well to take the physical trauma. So if you combine this with something like Taunt, manage to pull all the enemies towards you, and then play I'll See You in Hell, then you probably can defeat a couple of enemies, especially in multiplayer. But you will die, so this is definitely not, I don't think, 2 off. Maybe not even 1 off. It has 2 fight pips, so it's... you could swap one of your overpower for 1, I'll See You in Hell. And just because it's on has 2 fight. Sure, you don't get to draw a card, but still, it's such a cool card. I'll probably include it just because it's such a fun card. Let's see. So yeah, and it's a really cool picture. I love the theme of it. Yeah, I don't think there's much else to say about it. You try to pull as many enemies. So they have to be engaged with you. That's also important. So you need like Taunt or the what is it called? The knife from the last one. Trench knife. To be able to pull all the enemies towards you and then to kill them all off. It's a cool card, fun card. But it's good probably. Most of the time it won't be good for you, but there'll be definitely some scenarios where you'll be able to kill off like 2-3 enemies, save your teammate, and just for those moments it might be worth playing it. Okay, let's move on. So, this is the 45 automatic. You probably have seen this card, but this costs 4 resources, level 2, so that's new. Has the fight and agility pip. Item, weapon, firearm. Uses 4 ammo. Takes up a hand. And action. Spend 1 ammo. Fight. You get +2 combat for this attack. This attack deals 1+ damage. Ignore the retaliate keyword for this attack. So, if you have played any Arkham Horror, you probably recognize this card from the core set. So it's an upgraded version from the 45mm automatic. And I mean, the 45mm is probably like one of the most staple cards. I mean, it's the baseline for most weapons, I think. It gives you +1 combat and it does an additional damage. There are no claws to it except spending the ammo. Like the machete is definitely better in my opinion, but it's just that you have to be solo engaged with its claws. So let's look at the upgraded version. What's different? Well, you get an extra combat pip, and that might actually be good, because I always found it very clunky just to have this agility pip. You don't get any more ammo, which is a shame. It doesn't cost anything less. But you get +2 combats instead of 1, and you ignore the retaliate keyword. So, I don't know how good these two are. Getting an extra combat is obviously good, but do you want to pay 2 experience points for it? I'm not so sure I would actually. Because there's so much you want to. Maybe I don't have to beat that. There's so much stuff in Guardian. I rather pay for. Let's see it, all the experience cards. Nope. What did I do wrong? Like that? Yeah. Nope. So I mean, we have stuff like the Beat Cup level 2, which is one of the best cards in the game. Extra ammunition, lightning guns, shotguns. I mean, I would just probably just save up those experience for a lightning gun or something like that instead of spending. If this might be a late campaign purchase when you have like experience you don't really know what to spend it on. I don't find that usually in Guardian. They have so many good. Oh, I had cost XP more than one. There we go. Yeah, I mean I had worse. Super Feminine card, Lightning Gun, the Stand Together, Vicious Blow level 2. I'll probably just take a Vicious Blow level 2 instead of the. Well, would I actually? Yeah, because I mean it doesn't do any more damage, and that's the main clause. Vicious Blow can dish out another damage, the level 2 version. So I guess playing it for just the +2 combat, I'm not completely sold. Retaliate. Oops, wait. Am I spelling it wrong? Retaliate. And all cards. So let's see. Are there any like horrible monsters? I don't want to look at too spoilery cards either. I won't bring up like bosses or late enemies. I haven't even seen all of these myself, I think. Yeah, I mean, like the Lupin Thrall, sure it has retaliate, but the mobster you don't really care about. You usually kill it in one blow anyway. It has 2 combat. The Thrall the same. The Wizard of Oz. Yeah, that might be troublesome, but he only hits back for 1 damage anyway. And if you're the Guardian, you probably don't care that much about 1 damage. So yeah, I'm not completely sold on this upgraded version. I don't find it that good actually. So I don't think I'll be running this one or try it. I mean, I will try it sometimes. I'll buy it and see. I have been surprised before, like thought our card was much weaker than it apparently was. So let's move on. This is the logical reasoning. It's an event. Mystic Seeker costs 2, has 2 willpower icons or pips. Insight rated. Play only if you have at least 1 clue. So there's a lot of Seeker cards attached to this class, or at least some. Choose an investigator at your location. That investigator heals 2 horror or discard a terror card from his or her threat area. I'm the wisest man alive, for I know one thing that I am, and that is that I know nothing. Platon. So this is a card with 3 benefits. It has 2 willpower icons, which is not something to be overlooked as. That's the same at Gust. Sure, you don't get to draw the card, but still, Uncage the Soul also has 2 willpower, and I usually, like, half of the time I play this just for the willpower icons, so it's not to be overlooked. Yeah, and then it's an event. You can only play it if you have at least 1 clue, but that's usually not a problem for Seekers. Seekers. So, yeah. I mean, that class might just be there for people who splash. Because, I mean, Roland probably liked this. He can take Seeker cards, and healing 2 horror is actually good. So, definitely a support card. Healing 2 horror as a 1 action, I think the only thing that can compare to that is Liquid Courage, which you can heal 2 horror from, but you have to take a test, and it's actually, you have to play this first, and then you can start healing. But you have to take a test, and if you fail that, you can discard card from your hand. This one is just straight up 2 horror you heal. Kind of like, what's that called? Emergency Aid something? Yeah. Emergency Aid, what a card we got in Downwich. You heal 2 damage from that investigator or from an ally asset. And this just straight up heals 2 horror. You cannot use this on an ally, so so it's definitely a good card. Especially for the Guardian class, I think. Roland probably wants this, because he only has 5 MEC horror. Let's look at the terror card class then. So, how many terror cards are there? Terror. So as you see, there are a couple of terror cards in the game, but you can't really use what was the name of the card? Logical Reasoning for every of them. So probably should have taken this up before, because a lot of these cards are trigger immediately when you play them. I won't take cards from the Carnival or stuff like that either. I think there only was these 2. Yeah. So that's the thing. There are 21 terror cards in the game currently, but there are only 2 terror cards that goes into someone's threat area. That's this Dissonant Voices from the which set is this? I can't remember the encounter set's name. I know it, but let's see. Striking Fair. So it won't let you play events. So if you have this yourself, you can't really use logical reasoning. It can be good to save other people from it. I played once. And my sister was about to pull the sleight of hand lightning gun combo. And of course she drew the dissonant voices, so that was completely shut down and she died that turn, so kind of unlucky. So it might be a good of a target, but I mean dissonant voice also discards at the end of the turn. So if you don't really have to play something, it's not usually, maybe not worth wasting a card on. Probably better just healing those two horrors. And then the other one is Frozen in Fear from the same encounter set, Striking Fear. And as you know, Frozen in Fear won't let it costs extra action to move, fight, or evade the first time you do it. But the thing is, this doesn't discard at the end of the turn. You have to test 3 in Will, which is not super high, but it can be clunky. I mean, like someone like Roland, who can't boost, Mark can boost himself, but Roland only has 3 willpower. So if you don't have like Savior and the police badge or cards to pitch, it can be actually quite hard to get rid of this. And this definitely shuts down people, especially the fighters. So yeah, playing Logical Reasoning on Frozen in Fear isn't too bad. All the other terror cards in the game doesn't go into your threat area, like Rotting Remain. You just test 3 will, and after you have done this, it's gone. So it's never entered your threat area, so there's no window to play this. Yeah, let's move on. So this is Architic Cliffs Guidance Stones. So if you've played Path to Carcosa or watched my earlier videos, you might recognize this card. Because we already have a version of this card from the deluxe box. So let's look at this one first. So this was a 0 cost asset, took a hand, there was a tome, you discarded. You had to discard a card with a intellect icon and had to do it 3 times to gain 5 resource and record that you have translated the clips. And we didn't know what that did until now, where we have the untranslated versions. So cost 2 has 3 pip icons, willpower and intellect. And now it's a spell, so it has lost its item occult and tome trait and just gained the spell trait. I think that's the first time an upgraded card loses traits and completely changed them, so it's not a tome anymore. There might be another example, but so you can only include this asset if you have. You can only include this asset by upgrading from Ancient Cliffs Untranslated. So you have to have this card in your deck already, and only if you have translated the glyphs in your campaign log. So you have to do this little, I don't know what to call it, side quest maybe, to include this card. And if you have, you can include it. So what does it do? It's a asset and it takes up 1 arcane slot, uses 3 charges, action, spend 1 charge, investigate. For every 2 points you succeed by, discover 1 additional clue at your location. So when I first read this, I wasn't too impressed. Because this mini quest that translating the glyphs takes some time. I mean, that's basically 4 actions you're spending. 1 to play it and then 3 to translate it. So to be able to have this card, you have to commit really. So how good is this? If you have played the Dunwich Legacy, you have seen Rex the Reporter. His ability is, if you succeed by 2 or more, discover 1 additional clue. Now that sounds kind of similar to this, and as we all know, Rex is super efficient at finding clues. But this is only 3 times, you only have 3 charges, so it's not that good, right? Well, Rex clause says 2 or more. This one says for every 2. So there's no limit on how many clues you can find. And that is super good. Let's look at these, the core. Because right now only the Seekers. Why am I botching that? The Seekers can include this and Lola, but we won't go into Lola now. Can take this card. So Daisy has a, let's say there's a 4 shroud location with 4 clues. You're playing you and your friend. 4 shroud location is quite high, and 4 clues will probably take some time. But let's say you play Daisy, and this card on its own isn't super good. But if you have one of the best cards in the game, Higher Education, you can bump this card so much. So if you pitch, we all know Higher Education, for every resource you pay, you get +2 intellect. If you're paying like, if we assume we're playing on standard and the average pool is -2, if you pay in, let's see how much, 1 is 7, 9, 11, 13, 15. So if you pay 5 resources, you're up to 15 in intellect. And let's say you draw -3 to make it easier to count. Then you end up on 12. How much did you succeed by then? From 4, you succeeded by... you succeeded by 8, right? Yeah, 8. So for every 2 you succeeded by, you discover 1 additional clue. So you don't even have to go that high. You only have to pay like 4 reasons to succeed with 6, because you're still getting the base clue. So if you succeed by 2, you're getting 2 clues. If you succeed by 4, you're getting 3 clues. And if you succeed by 6, you're getting 4 clues. Right? Yeah. And that is super good. I mean, you can clean a whole location in 1 action. And that is definitely something to include. I mean, sure, you can only do it 3 times, but you probably want to invest those 3 charges. I mean, go nuts. Higher education all you want on those three tests. I mean, we all know you're going to pull the tentacle 2 out of those 3 tests, because, I mean, it's Arkham Horror, but still, it's super good, I think. It's very different from the Strange Illusion from Dunwich, which attacked and evade and healed. So it's actually had something with the investigation, which I thought I mentioned when we had the untranslated version, so I think I was right. Yay on me. Definitely something to include. I mean, Daisy, sure, she's fighting for those, she has shivering probably, but you probably don't want to run Rite of Seeking with Daisy, so this spell is definitely not something that's going to occupy there. There's another one that can take, have this card, and that is our friend Akechi, who can take, she could take level 0 Cold card, which was done untranslated, and she can take level 0 to 4 Chargers card, and this is a charge card. So she can use it. However, does she? She only has 2 in intellect. She can't take higher education. So they really went their way out to make her be able to include this. And Akachi probably just want to run other spells, so I'm not really sure. But it's fun that she can include it. You probably just don't want to. Okay, we have talked an extensive amount of time about this arcane glyph. Let's move on to the next card. Arcane glyphs! Dun dun dun! Yeah, so just like Strange Illusion, we get another version of this card. So it has the same text, but it has an agility icon instead of willpower. No, wait. Yeah, instead of willpower. They have switched the order, though. It's interesting. Can you see what it says? Yeah, you probably can. So this first text is the same as take 1 spell, but it's spend 1 action, investigate. If you succeed, you may automatically evade an engaged enemy. This attack does not provoke attack of opportunity. So, I mean, you investigate, you find a clue, and you evade an enemy that are engaged with you. So you're engaged with multiple, you're only evading 1. I mean, sure, let's look at Daisy again. Daisy. I mean, Daisy only has a agility of 2 and a intellect of 5. Ming, I don't know her stats. Yeah, 4, 2. So I mean, it's definitely better to evade enemies with investigating, because that's usually their higher stat. Important note: you can do this even though there are no clues at your location, but probably not super good. But you can. You don't have to find clues to investigate. So yeah, it's a way to evade them. Is it good? I mean, I don't think I'll ever take this over the guiding stones. So this was the prophecy foretold version. This was the guiding stones. I don't see a reason to take the evading over the finding shit tons of clues. But that's just me. So not much to say about this card. I think this is mediocre. I would not pay 3 experience for it. This one, I'll definitely pay 3 experience for. Okay, let's move on. So this is Sheep Shot. It's a rogue event. I'm botching all the classes today. I don't know why. It's a rogue event. Costs 2. Has a fight and agility icon. So I think a lot of rogue cards has that. Feels like it. This is Sheep Shot. It's a trick fight. Add your agility value to your skill value for this attack. So that seems to be a theme on green, like to add stuff. That's cool. Lockpick had it, and a spoiled card will also have it. So if you succeed by 2 or more, automatically evade the attacked enemy. So it also has this 2 or more clause that a lot of rogue cards has. Aim for the eyes, they told me, and there's a monster with shit tons of eyes, so it's kind of funny. And she's throwing like sand at it. So yeah, I mean, it's not a super flashy card, but it's, I mean, you get to evade and fight, and someone like Sefina, how the hell do you spell Sefina? She was actually there. Someone like Sefina, who has 2 combat and 4 agility, then you'll be fighting for 6, and you will evade that. Wendy probably also like this. She has a measly 1 fight, but with this it'll be a 5. I mean, it's basically just used to evade them, and then you're doing 1 damage to them. You can also then backstab if you haven't managed to upgrade your backstab. Sneak attack. You can sneak attack it, because then it will be exhaust if you haven't upgraded your sneak attack, which you probably should, because it's amazing then. Yeah, I don't know much more to say about this card. It's not super fantastic, but I probably will run it in Sefina and Wendy and stuff like that. You can throw in vicious blows also when you're doing this, if you have someone to help you. Let's move on. So, pickpocketing. This is also a core set card. This is pickpocket level 2, cost 2, asset agility. So that's our 3rd one in this set with double icons, I think. Yeah. Fast, talent, illicit. After you evade an enemy, exhaust pickpocket. Draw 1 card or gain 1 resource. If you succeed by 2 or more, do both instead. So let's look at the original one. So it has gained another agility icon. It has gained the fast trait, which doesn't cost an action to play it. And this one lets you gain a research or draw a card instead of just drawing a card, or both. Yeah, because pickpocketing, it usually didn't feel worth it. Like, spend an action to play it, and then, yeah, you're probably not going to get too many triggers out of it. Same is true for this, but I mean the fast keyword, you save an action, it's much more flexible. You can get resources if you need it, and if you're a fast character like Sefina or Wendy, you probably will succeed by 2 a lot of times. So if you're playing this like dodge tank, it'll definitely be a good include. You don't have to upgrade from the level 0 versions, so I don't think you have to include level 0. You can go straight to level 2, like Switchblade. A lot of rogue cards are terrible at level 0. This isn't terrible, but this is definitely better. Do both. I mean, scanning resources might actually be good, better. And I mean, this trigger also on cheap shot, because when you evade it, you get to trigger pickpocketing. So that might be a good. It might be a nice combo. Yeah. Let's move on. It's already 30 minutes, yeah. So this is our first Mystic card, Quantum Flux. It's one cost event with a wild icon. Insight. Shuffle your discard pile into your deck and draw 1 card. Remove Quantum Flux from the game. Okay. So you take your discard pile and shuffle it into your deck and draw 1 card, so it replaces itself. Why is this good? There are first a rule questions that I think a lot of people don't even know about. It took me some time to figure out. If you run out of deck, you reshuffle your deck and take 1 horror, and then yeah, that's it. So you reshuffle your deck and take 1 horror. So if you run out of deck, you will still get to draw cards. But as a lot of you maybe know, how the hell do you spell that? There. From the Dunwich cycle, we got Beyond the Veil, which also does 10 damage if you have no cards in your deck. So additional to that horror, you take 10 damage. So this is a counter to that card actually. We got in the last pack, we got Devil's Luck, which prevent 10 damage. And this is the Mystic way of preventing that damage. You shuffle your discard pile so you're not running out of cards. So it's definitely a good counter against Beyond the Veil. And most people now can either take this or Devil's Luck. And those who can't are probably the Guardians, and they can probably tank the 10 damage. And they have cards like I had worse. What the other else uses are there for this? Well, if you have some really good cards in your discard pile that you probably want to replace soon. If you have like the Grotesque Statue, it's a super good card, and when it runs out, it discards itself. So if you only have this and a couple of other cards, might be good to Quantum Flux them back. Sure, you shovel them in, so there's no guarantee you will see them immediately. But it probably will be faster than to draw your entire deck and then look for them. But I'm not entirely sure what else you for those like edge cases except Beyond the Veil, and if you have managed to just throw out a couple of good cards. Yeah, like refilling, because it's not really refilling your assets. It's just, yeah. And if you have played a lot of events, might be good to get them back sooner than later. I'm not completely sure. I think this is a good card that exists. There are a similar card in Netrunner called Levi Lab, and that card is like very essential for a lot of archetypes. So, I mean, this card might be super useful in the future when we have bigger card pool. But right now, it's probably more of a tech card right now. This is Recharge. It's a Mystic event. Costs 0 to play, costs 2 XP, has double willpower, so that's our 4th card in this pack. Spell. Choose a spell or relic asset controlled by an investigator at your location and reveal a random chaos token from the bag. If you reveal the skull, cultist tablet, Cthulhu, or tentacle symbol, discard the chosen asset. Otherwise, add 3 charges to it. Yeah. So let's look. What kind of spells are there? Spells. So there's quite a lot, as you can see. We won't look at the red ones. We probably want to look at just assets as well. So the big 2 ones will. Oops. Wait, grotesque statue, isn't that just a relic? Maybe it's a relic. Yeah, because a lot of these cards can't really have charges on them, so it's doesn't really matter. Wait, so the statue isn't a... Yeah, it's a relic. Am I missing it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, so I mean, I think these... Oh, I took the wrong one. There we go, Shivering. I think these 3 will be the main uses for them. So Shivering, the attack spell for Mystics, Right of Seeking, the Investigating, and Grotesque Statue, the Control the Bag. Being able to refill them, because 3 charges is quite a lot. I mean, that's almost a full statue. It's a full Right of Seeking and almost a full Shivering. Being able to refill them is super useful. It's cost 0, so it doesn't set you back in resources, and Mystics are quite poor as it is. It takes an action, but not too big. The big drawback, though, is this, that you might discard it. I mean, so you probably only want to do it when it's already out of charges. So I guess, I wonder how this works. If you play Recharge on a Grotesque Statue and use Grotesque Statue when you're about to reveal a token and you're spending your last charge, I think it would, to refill the Grotesque Statue, I think it would be actually discarded before you're able to recharge it. So you have to recharge the statue when it has 2 tokens if you're going to use a token to help recharge. So a bit clunky there. And I mean, you don't want to play this in Akechi, because she has her her Spirit Speaker, which lets you pick up a card with charges and then just replay it, so then you'll guarantee be able to refill it. So yeah, I mean, we have a similar card in the core set. Extra ammunition. Extra. Which is just straight up put 3 ammo on a gun. And it costs 1 cheaper. Sure, it's costs 2 resources to play, but yeah. It's very interesting to see how different classes handle different tasks. I mean, because these cards are both essentially the same. They both like replenish what you're using to investigate and fight, while not really investigating with guns, but still. But they do it in such different ways. Gunners basically just do it, while Mystics are trying to yank it. They'll do it for free, but there might be a downside to it. I found that really cool that they managed to keep pulling this up. So it's a recharge a good card? Probably. If you play as Agnes, you don't want your Shivering to run out. So yeah, let's move on. We only 2 more cards. So this is Madame Labranche. It's an asset, survivor, with an intellect pip and an ally slot. she's an ally and a patron. So that's our third patron, I believe. And they're all from this. Let's see how many patrons are there. Patrons. Yeah. So no, it's our fourth patron. Oh. Charles Ross is a patron. So that's cool. It looks like we're getting a patron in every class. So what does she do? 2 health, 2 horror. Fast. If you have no cards in your hand, exhaust Madame. Draw 1 card. Fast. If you have no resources, exhaust Madame Lebranche. Gain 1 resources. So this is basically saying if you have 0 of something, here you gain 1 for free. How good is that? I think it's kind of good actually. Especially this gain a resource if you're broke. Because it's like if these two cases, if I have 0 cards in hand or if I'm broke, I'm probably broke 90% of the time and 10% of the time I don't have cards. So I think she will be really good in a Dark Horse build. Dark Horse says that you get +1 in every stat if you're broke, which is super good. But the thing with Dark Horse is like it's in Survivor. That's also the faction which has Lucky, which says if you fail get +2, but this one costs 1. So you either have to take 1 resources and lose the Dark Horse benefit, or be able to play Lucky. Sure, if you have 1 resource and play Lucky with Dark Horse, you're getting +3 because you're getting these ones and the +2. But maybe you would have succeeded if you just had this bonus. So being able to always be broke, and because if you're broke, so Dark Horse triggers, and you fail by 1 or 2, you can exhaust Madame Lebranche to get that resource to play Lucky. It's super flexible. And also those turns, maybe if you're running like some expensive card in your Dark Horse build, I don't know, like Will to Survive. No. Oh, a Test of Will, also a great card to be able to play at fast if you're missing 1, because you're always broke as the Dark Horse build. You get that resource, you draw on a counter card, you get that resource from Madame Lebranche, and cancel it. But I was thinking of Will to Survive, because this just force. It's quite clunky to have it in a Dark Horse build, but I sometimes include it. With Madame, you can get up to 2 resources combined with your free resource each turn. You have to take it before, obviously, when you're broke, but still, it's good. So yeah, I think she's definitely a good ally. The biggest downside is that she is competing with Peter, our big man, which gives you plus agility or agility and willpower if you have the upgraded version. So I think you probably want to run charisma to be able to include both of them. But yeah, it's a cool card. And last, we have Snare Trap. It's an event. Costs 2 pips, 2 experience point. Has willpower and agility pip. Snare Trap. It's a trap improvisation. Attached to your location. Limit 1 per location. So there's a lot of survivor cards that are like attached to your location. Forced. After a non-elite enemy enters a attached location, exhaust that enemy. This is engage it from all investigator and attach snare trap to it. Forced. When attached enemy would ready, instead discard snare trap. So there's a lot of text, but basically, if an enemy spawns or move into this location, disengage from all investigation and become exhausted, and then it takes 2 upkeeps to ready it. That's very similar to Hiding Spot, right? Spot. Okay, no, not kind of similar though. Hiding spot makes them aloof, which doesn't really help if you're already engaged with them. While snare trap you have to play before they move in, because if you play snare trap on a location, like if I'm engaged with someone, an enemy, and my friend plays snare trap on our location, that enemy won't enter the attached location, so it won't be exhausted. My friend has to play it like on a next location to me, and I have to move in there, take the attack of opportunity, and then it will be exhausted. It probably works best with monster who has Hunter, because they will move in on their own and becomes exhausted. Yeah, because hiding spot you will discard it at the end of the enemy phase, so it will still jump you. This one will buy you a real extra turn, which is actually very good. It has the non-elite class, which is, I guess, I understand why trapping a boss for one turn would be way too strong. I have a very hard time determining how good snare trap is. Because I don't think it's worth if you're going to play it and then move in. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I'd rather just run ambush, which does 2 damage to an enemy when it enters or moves in there. Well, I realize ambush is just when an enemy spawns, not when it moves in. Huh. Ooh. Might have been playing that wrong. I have to check that up. But yeah, snare trap. Probably a very hard card to determine how good it is. But there's a lot of similar cards now, like ambush, snare trap, hiding spot. They're all in the similar theme, attach your locations. So yeah, very interesting set. There were a lot of events, right? Yeah. Okay. There weren't any skill cards, but there were a lot of double pips. Haven't tried it out yet. I will sleeve it probably tonight and try to play it soon. It looks super fun, some of these cards. They all had, yeah, all except Seeker had a 0 and a 2. Seeker had a 0 and a 2 3s. So, probably most excited about the Arctic 2 clips. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see how this card works. If you like this video, please leave a like and comment on your thoughts about these cards if you think I missed anything or did something wrong. If you would like me to talk about something else as well, please comment. Yeah, that's it for today. I'll be back with more videos later. Happy not net running, happy Arkham Horror. Yeah, see ya.